Thank you so much, everyone. Very nice to see you here. Few practicalities. Before we start, I'm going to assume that you more or less all know what carbon removal is, and I'm not going to explain the difference between avoidance and emissions. Just say that we only do carbon removal. I'm also not going to say that the market is going to be $1 trillion in 2050 or whatever McKinsey says in the latest report. You know already that this is a really important pathway that we need to follow in order to reach zero emissions. My name is Emil Dalsgaard. I'm one of the founders and the co-CEO of Klimate. And also, I don't like to use a lot of slides when I'm presenting. I noticed that there's a lot of information here, so I hope you'll just instead keep your focus on me. And I'll just show you this one slide that has a few key facts about Klimate and what we do. So we are a carbon removal asset manager based in Copenhagen. We have contracted more than 200,000 tons of carbon removal, which makes us around the top 10 resellers or services within carbon removal globally. We're headquartered in Copenhagen, but we just made our first hire here in Berlin. We have 20 employees from 11 different countries, so we're very, very international. And we raised a $3.5 million seed round last year, led by Ecosummit, who you just heard from 1 minute ago. And we are planning to do a Series A, kicking it off early next year. So if that's your sweet spot, I'm very happy to talk to you afterwards. You can see some of our esteemed clients here. Unfortunately, our biggest clients are not ready to go public yet, so I cannot share all the logos. But I'm sure you also know some of these already. So, what do we do at Klimate? Well, basically, what we're doing is trying to let other companies do what Microsoft does without being Microsoft. You might be aware that Microsoft is the biggest player in the sort of carbon removal industry. They are the biggest buyer by far. Actually, they account for almost 2/3 of all the carbon removal that's been contracted globally, which is really also a way of seeing how nascent this market is, right? The market grew 7 times last year, but it still has a lot of potential to go. So what does Microsoft do? Well, they have a whole team dedicated to sourcing and analyzing different carbon removal projects and figuring out which ones to invest in, managing all of these multiple complicated contracts, and figuring out if these projects that they're investing in actually have a reasonable pathway to delivering the removal that they are buying, and can they get the financing to scale up. And this might sound like a fairly trivial task, right? Like Microsoft has a team that can do it. Why couldn't everyone just hire this team? Well, the problem is that it requires extremely specialized skills. We have one client that has a 76 billion annual revenue, and they have 2 people who work part-time on this, right? It's not something that everyone can do. We have created the world's leading analysis model and data collection model for carbon removal projects, which we help them with. This building behind me, you see it's actually not an AI-generated image, even though it looks like it. I saw there was a lot of AI-generated images today. This is an incinerator outside Copenhagen, where we have the world's first BECCS plant up and running. And essentially what we've done here is we've connected a client with a project, and then we were able to trigger the financing for the carbon removal so that we can scale it up. So if you're familiar with how PPAs work, which I assume most of you are, this is the same model that we recreated on this incinerator outside of Copenhagen. As I said, we are very, very happy to talk to investors for our next funding round. And we are right now going to expand. We're hiring in Germany, we're hiring in the UK. Our clients are pretty much all over the world, but now we need to scale the team internationally as well. And I cannot share our revenue numbers here on stage, but I would be happy to do it if you come and find me after. I can say that we grew basically 10x last year, and our target for this year is to grow 5x. Yeah, that's 5 minutes exactly. Thank you so much for the attention. And I also have a QR code, so if you want to meet up, don't hesitate to be in touch. Thank you.